Good moment, baseball universe, and welcome back to Launch Angle. It's your boy, half man, half podcast machine, Jake the Snake Robinson, coming out of Pawleys Island, South Kakalaki. And we are now 4 days and a wake up away from actual baseball games that matter. And we decided to dust off one of our original ideas now that it appears that we have a season where we can actually be, topically relevant is the way to say it. So we have a very, very busy show ahead. I have LTBPN Facebook valued member Chanel McCaskill. She's going to be calling out of the Windy City. Actually, she's going to be sitting in on Zoom with us. She's going to be talking about her beloved White Sox and more. And we're also going to release our interview that we did a couple of weeks ago now. I think it's about 10 days ago. We did it with Dayne Myers from ImagineSports.com. He has a fascinating baseball game. It's a simulation-style baseball game that we're gearing up to play in our Facebook room, the Let's Talk Baseball Podcast Network Facebook page. And so he's going to be in as well. So, jam-packed show, Chanel McCaskill, Dayne Myers. And with all that being said, I would be remiss. And I would like to introduce to you my producer / co-host, my amigo Zito, out of Dewey, Arizona. My boy, Mr. Brian Belzito. What's up, Bells? How are you this morning?
What's up, Jake the Snake? I am doing well, man. I am pumped. Like you said, we're 4 days away from getting out of this COVID desert of nothingness. I'm thirsty for baseball. I got a little drink last night watching Mets and Yankees in Shea Stadium with some cardboard dudes in the crowd and some pumped-in sound. But I am ready for regular season baseball, my brother.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
So, as a kid, when opening day would come around, that's like Christmas for seamheads like us. Christmas Eve, you're just waiting for the next day. And one of my favorite things about, the opening of a season is the youngsters, the rookies, man. I always loved, rifling through baseball cards, trying to get the hot rookies, trying to figure out who's going to be a stud. So I'm going to throw the topic at you right now of who is going to be the rookie of the year. Let me give you my 2 picks first, and then I want to hear who you got in both leagues. So for the American League, I'm going to go a little bit off of the reservation. Everybody's picking a certain guy out of the Chi-Town in the AL. I'm going to go up above the border. They may be playing in Buffalo, but I'm going to go with right-hander Nate Pearson with the Blue Jays. This guy's going to be throwing smoke. I think he's going to be a cornerstone of their rotation going forward, and I think he's going to make his mark in this short season. It'll be tough for pitchers to make their marks, but I believe in that dude. Over in the NL, I wanted to go homer all the way and say Joey Bart, but I don't know what's going to happen. The players are saying they want him in the lineup. They're kind of insinuating that to management, but I'm going St. Louis outfielder Dylan Carlson. This dude brings power and speed to the table, and I think he's going to also make his mark. So what's your pick, my brother?
Well, I'm looking at the AL, and I'm seeing Wander Franco, shortstop for Tampa Bay. He's only like 19, I believe. He might be even younger than that. But they're saying they expect him up before he's even 20, and this kid is off the charts. I mean, he might be like the infield version of Ronald Acuna. I'm just not so sure they're going to bring him up this year. Now, Joe Adell, I think Joe Adell looks at his team and he sees the best player in baseball, Mike Trout. He sees the best two-way player in Shohei Ohtani. They got the best free agent on the market in Anthony Rendon. So Joe Adell would be a very good pick. And like you, I do like Nate Pearson. I think he's a horse. Jesus Luzardo with the Oakland A's would be another one. But, yeah, I'm going to take the consensus. I'm going to take the guy that hits home runs from his ass. And Luis Roberts is just – he looks like – I mean, he just looks like one of these ball players like, Bryce did his rookie year, like Trout did his rookie year, Machado. He just looks like one of these guys who gets it right off the bat. I mean, he's ready to go. So I'm taking Luis Roberts in the American League for the Chicago White Sox. And in the National League, look, man, I'm ready for Mackenzie Gore. I've been talking about this kid for 3 years. I usually don't like to take pictures in Rookie of the Year ballotings, but I think Mackenzie Gore is a step above everybody else out there. Now, that's not to take anything away from Kristen Potts. Pache, whatever his name is, for the Braves. The last 3 years, the Braves have given you Ozzy Albies, Ronald Acuna, Mike Soroka. So they could be that dark horse that just keeps pumping young players into the system. Christian Ponce, some guy, Dylan Carson, like you said, of the Cardinals. I got Gavin Lux, Carter Kieboom of the Nationals. But I think at the end of the day, for me in the National League, I'm going to take Mackenzie Gore. I think he's a real good sleeper. And speaking of sleeper, Bells, let me give you two sleeper teams in the American and National League that that I'm considering. And now, first of all, I have to ask myself, what do I consider a sleeper? Now, I don't consider a sleeper any team that made the playoffs last year, or even a team that was like fighting for playoff position down the stretch. Um, I would have considered the Reds kind of like this sleeper team. Same with the White Sox. I would have considered those guys sleeper teams, but there's so many guys on their nuts right now that I can't consider them sleeper teams anymore. So I think for me, there's two teams in the American League. I'm looking at the Red Sox. And it's funny that we would say any time ever in the past 25 years that the Red Sox would be a sleeper team. But I really do feel like a lot of people are just overlooking the Red Sox. I know the bullpen is still very, very suspect. But you look at that offense, Devers, Xander, uh, JD, Benny, Michael Chavis, Christian Vasquez, JBJ. It's still pretty freaking loaded. And the starting pitching is not that bad, although you're taking David Price out of that, or actually David Price is for the Dodgers now. That's right. But I just think that team. I don't think they're going to win the American League East, but I think they're kind of a dark horse kind of team where they could be batting for second or third and a wild card position. Not in love with the bully, but I think it's comparable to what Toronto is. I could see Toronto and Boston. I mean, they're both kind of sleeper teams to me in kind of a way. Now, in the National League, I'm going to be honest with you. I like the Marlins. I like the Marlins not to finish it in last in the American League or the National League East. They had the fourth best farm on the system, and all these guys that were laughing, like the classy Tom Blasties, that all these trades were worthless. They're not worthless. All these guys are starting to build up. Sandy Alcantara took a step last year. He became an all-star. They got Jordan Yamamoto. They got Sixto Sanchez. This farm is starting to bear fruit. Now, the way they got Jonathan Villar, who I think is a great leadoff stick for that team. They still got the Isom Diaz's, Brian Anderson's. Jesus Aguilar is a quiet bet. Corey Dickerson, Jorge Alfaro, Monty Harrison, Lewis Brinson. Again, bully, not great, but they have deep, young, organizational depth, and I don't think that they come in last place. I think there's another team in the National League East that's going to come in last place. When it comes to you and your two sleeper teams, how do you see it?
Well, my friend, this is going to be interesting because we're both in the same divisions with our sleeper teams, but we don't have the same teams picked. So when it comes to the AL, I know I went up above the border with the Blue Jay pick for Rookie of the Year. I'm doing the same for my sleeper team. That legacy infield of Shaw, Biggio, Bichette, Guerrero, they're just going to be mashing. And I honestly think offense is going to be the name of the game during this little 60-game season. Pitching, who knows how these teams are going to manage their arms, manage their bullpens, manage their starters. You'd think that they're going to just kind of let them go, but you never know. So it could be a lot of high-scoring games, and I think offenses that have guys like that are going to be, they're going to be the key to the season, is having a good offense that puts up a bunch of runs. And then over in the National League, I guess you could call me a bit of a homer with my Philly roots. I think the Phillies are coming, man. I think the Phillies are coming. They've got another offense that's matching. They added behind Nola. They added Zach Wheeler. If they get anything out of the third and fourth starter, the Phillies are going to be dangerous, in my opinion. And look at that offense. I mean, you got Real Muto, who's coming as the best catcher in baseball. You've got Reese Hoskins. You may get something out of McCutchen. He may have another, a comeback player of the year kind of a season under his belt. You've got offense everywhere. You got guys like Kingery that can play all over the field and give you some good innings. So call me a second team homer since, that's where my family's from. It's all Giants for me all day, but I do have a little bit of love for the city of brotherly love, which I'll get killed in this room for because I know a lot of people hate Philadelphia, but that's my pick. So, all right. So it is the time of year for bold predictions. I want to get a bold prediction out of you. I'm going to give you mine first. Mine is statistic based. And again, it's dangerous picking pitchers to do anything in this thing because we don't know how teams are going to manage it. But I'm going to say boldly that we're going to have one pitcher that comes out of this season with a 10-0 record. And he's going to be in Chavez Ravine, and his name is Walker Buehler.
I like it.
He's going to be
That's very bold. That is very bold.
He's going to get a lot of starts against my Giants. He'll probably get 2 or 3 starts against them. He'll get a couple starts against the Padres, who are coming. But, he'll get some starts against the Rockies. I think he lights it up this year, walks away with the truncated season Cy Young. So what do you got as a bold prediction?
Well, I kind of have 2. The first one's a kind of small one. I don't think that there will be more than 5 complete games thrown in all of baseball at the end of the season. That's bold prediction number 1. Bold prediction number 2. I think Altuve is pissed off. I think Altuve is not only going to win the batting title, but he's going to vie for 400. Okay. I think that guy is going to be on a mission. He's good enough to beat out ground balls in the infield, which is huge for a 400 hitter. He also hits gap to gap. So my bold prediction is there will only be 5 complete games by pitchers, no more than 5. 5 or less. There will be 5 or less complete games in Major League Baseball by the end of the year. And Jose Altuve is going to seriously threaten 400, and he's going to win the AL batting title. And, okay, those are pretty good ones, so we'll have to see what happens. Yes, now, finally, our World Series predictions. I would say right now the odds-on favorites would be Yankees-Dodgers. And you can't go wrong with that. On paper, I think they're the 2 respective teams in their leagues that are probably top dog at this point. Agreed. I believe one of those teams will make it to the World Series. I believe the World Series will be the Tampa Bay Rays versus the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Dodgers will win in 6. What do you got?
Shot to me. So I'm going to go a little bit off the board and not pick Yankees or Dodgers. I am actually hoping across the whole landscape of sports that this 2020 season, we get all kinds of shakeup going on and we get some weird results. I'm going back to the early 90s for a rematch. Give me the Minnesota Twins against the Atlanta Braves with the Atlanta Braves winning in 7. Ghosts, they exercise the ghosts of Jack Morris.
There you go. And, maybe have, Dan Gladden come out there and throw the first pitch. That'd be awesome.
Yes, sir.
Mark Lemke, bring all those guys back just because they had great names.
Yep, I think the Braves have been coming the last couple of years. They've putting together, like you said, that young core. And the Twins are just loaded. It's going to come down to pitching, but they're so loaded in what I think is going to be an offensive-minded season that, I think that might be they might be just loaded enough to get there.
Well, there you have it, folks. So Brian Belzino out of Dewey, Arizona, he is taking the Twins and the Braves. And who do you have winning that in the end?
I got the Braves in 7, exercising the ghost of Jack Morris pass.
Okay, so the Braves win in 7. And I have the Rays and the Dodgers, and I have the Dodgers winning in 6. So there you go. We're keeping it topical. We're going to probably bring this show back every couple weeks or so. Now that there is topical things to talk about, I'd also, like you to pay attention to our other shows, Backwards K, where we interview ball players and their stories. And Brian's got some things that he's got working on. We'll talk about those things as we get to them. But right now, I am very proud to introduce a valued member to our room. She's been here for a couple years now. She is a diehard White Sox fan, and she is coming out of the Windy City. What's up, Chanel? How are you, sweetie?
I'm all right. How are you?
We're doing great. It's so good to see you. How are you doing on this beautiful Sunday? You enjoying yourself?
I am. It's like it's thundering and lightning, and every time it does that, I always make a joke that Thor is fighting somebody on Asgard and he needs to cut it out.
It's funny because Chanel and I often go back and forth because I'm a huge Iron Man fan and she's a Captain America fan. And not that we don't like the other superhero, but there's some tension there. And it's the same with me and Chanel. We got a little tension between us. I mean, if she had a shield and I had the armor, we'd probably be fighting each other right now. But, we love each other. It's the same dynamics. Wouldn't you say, Chanel?
Yeah, I think so.
So, I know you work at Wrigley, right? Even though you're a White Sox fan, right?
Yes.
And how long have you been working at Wrigley Field?
I've been at Wrigley Field for 2 years.
And do you enjoy it? What do you enjoy the most about it?
Interacting with different people, because
right.
I'm going to tell you, it's not as bad as other Sox fans want you to think it is.
Mm-hmm.
The other Cub fans, they'll rip on you, but they enjoy when you rip back. So that's the dynamic that I have with a lot of my customers there. And I will tell you guys this. St. Louis Cardinals fans are not very nice to us when they come to Wrigley.
Oh, I thought the Cardinals fans were the most gracious people on earth. I mean, water turned to gold underneath them every time they walked out in the puddles. I mean, you always hear the Cardinals are such gracious fans. But I hear otherwise at like Brewers games and Cubs games. I hear quite the contrary. But now speaking of like kind of this rivalry kind of relationship, you and your significant other, he is a Cubs fan, correct?
He is the biggest Cubs fan on the planet.
Okay. So this is like, like I look at you and I laugh because I kind of look at you like Jorge Huertas. Like Huertas grew up in the Bronx, a Mets fan. I just don't know how that works. I mean, I could just see Huertas as a kid walking down the street with his Mets hat on and people flicking it off his head. You know what I mean? Like how does it happen? How do you meet your boyfriend and still put up with this Cub nonsense?
Let me tell you, he was okay until the Cubs won the World Series. And then he turned into this obnoxious person. I'm like, what is wrong with you? He's like, my Cubs won the World Series.
You are so right. They used to be some of the most humble fans, unlike the Red Sox fans who have always been this fatalist kind of, we're the shit, but we're fatalists. You know what I mean? The Cubs fans were always humble. And you're right. They have totally ran away from that. Now, I know Belzito had a funny relationship story in the same sense.
I do. My sports lady, Darcy, she is a lifelong Philadelphia Phillies fan, having grown up in South Jersey. So when we got together, it was, Giants were bad, the Phillies were bad, Utley and Howard were just coming up and stuff. So they went it in 2009. 2010 rolls around, and here we are in the National League Championship Series against each other. So we watched game one, and I'm one of those, I'm a baseball player. I'm superstitious as hell, man. I got the lucky seat, all the stuff that goes along with that. So we watch game one, game ends, and I go, the lucky seat worked because the Giants beat. That's when Ross hit the 2 homers off Halladay. I'm like, the lucky seat worked. And she goes, oh, you're right. I get the seat tomorrow. So they win. The Phillies win game 2. And then she looks at me and she goes, I just saw the schedule. Game 3 is a day game. You'll be at work. I get the lucky seat. So now I'm going, are you kidding me? What do I do? Being the player I am, the ball player, take up a Giant shirt, fold it up, put it under the cushion. Giants win that game. Giants win the series. I came home from work that day and said, I'm sorry your team lost. I give her a hug and I pull the shirt out and she does Philly girl.
Oh my God.
You dirty rat. And I'm like, yep, it worked. So
you're lucky she didn't file for a divorce. That's funny.
Worked,
so you guys are able to make it work, or is it you guys are like really, really close, and then the Cubs White Sox play, and there's like this tension there. How does that
Yes,
work?
it's like we are two opposite people, but we love our sports, and we'll sit there and we'll watch. And he'll trash talk the White Sox while we're watching the Sox game, but I'll trash talk the Cubs while we're watching the Cubs game. But
Mm-hmm.
we both love the Bulls and we love the Bears, so
There you go.
we have our teams in
There you
common.
go. Well, that's good. And also, you know, we're seeing kind of a shift in power, I think, in Chicago. Whereas the
Yeah,
Cubs were, been holding it down, they're not looking, we'll see what this new manager brings to the table. But the White Sox are definitely the team with the younger talent on the rise right now. And that's incredible to say that because the Cubs still have young, incredible talent. But here comes the White Sox. And it looks like this offseason they made some moves. And what was your favorite move? Who's your guy that you really can't wait to see play?
Yasmani Grandal.
You have always been on Yasmani Grandal. I mean, like, every time we did our room draft, you would always take Yasmani Grandal. I watch everything. What is it about Grandal?
You know what? Back when he was in LA, I was like, you know what? This is a catcher. He's like really good. I think he's one of the best catchers in the league at this point. And I'm like, if only our guys had somebody like that to earn under, that would be a great move for them. And then next thing I know, my partner's coming in and he's like, you will never guess who the White Sox signed. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, your favorite player in the world right now. I'm like, no, you're kidding me. He's like showing me the article. I'm like, this is it.
Have you gotten a jersey yet?
I haven't gotten a jersey yet.
Okay, well, you need to get on that.
Right away.
Right. I got
But that was the moment when I was like, okay, the White Sox may be doing a little something this year. They might be serious about the season when they signed. Oh, I'm like, man.
Yeah. Well, they didn't stop there. They went out and they got Encarnacion. They went out and they got Dallas Keuchel. I mean, they've done it on both sides of the ball. And they went out and got Nomar Mazara, which I think is a very great pickup for them. Now you have an outfield of Eloy Jimenez, Luis Roberts, who looks, he looks pretty incredible. Or actually, and Mazara. So, I mean, that could be one of the great outfields of the future. And you got Moncada coming. I mean, the stars do seem to be aligning for you right now. How excited are you to watch this team? You've seen the low points where they're putting it to finally see it all come together.
It is so great because I'm going to tell you, when they got rid of Chris Sale, oh, that hurt. That hurt so bad. And then they got rid of Adam Eaton. And, Eaton was a fan favorite in everywhere White Sox. He was like because I would also go to Sox Fest every year as well. And he was one of the biggest draws at Sox Fest. So losing Chris Sale, losing Adam Eaton, I was like, this is bull. I can't believe the team just did that. And then Tim Anderson came into his own. And it was like, oh.
He did.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only complaint I have about Tim Anderson is I think he had like 15 walks last year. He's got to get that up. He's got to get the top. But he's a fantastic player. He makes some out of your mind defensive plays, and sometimes he kind of falters on the routine. Sometimes I feel like I'm not sure if it's because he outranges himself sometimes, or he maybe overthinks. But he's definitely got incredible skills. They just named Lucas Giolito your opening day starter. How do you feel about that?
I love that move. I like that move because it gives it gives Giolito the reins, and he has control over the pitching staff. And I think that's what they need. They needed to make Giolito their number one and show him that they have that they can support him. And especially after the season that he had last year. And
he passed Ronaldo Lopez. I mean, Lopez was kind of higher on the totem pole at the beginning of last year, if you remember. Now, Michael Kopech isn't going to play, but I still think your rotation's pretty good. You got Giolito, you got Dallas Keuchel, Dylan Cease, your boy Rondon, and I guess, you know, that fifth spot will probably be up for grabs between a couple different pitchers there. So, I mean, yeah, so I think it's a really, really exciting time for you. I'm glad you're getting to finally see some good baseball. Maybe the scales of justice will kind of turn on you, and we certainly enjoyed having you here.
Yes, I enjoy being here. And I want to tell you guys, I was saving this White Sox story for here specifically. You know, I go to Sox Fest every year, but one year, right after they won the championship, I was 25. Yes, I was 25, but I looked like a little girl because I'm like 100 pounds, and I'm going in the line to meet Ozzie Guillen. First of all, Ozzie Guillen had like 3 huge security guards behind him. And the security guards are telling Ozzie, you can only sign 1 autograph per person. Ozzie Guillen said, forget it. No, I'm signing whatever these people want. And he signed everything. He took pictures with everybody, and you can see how frustrated his security was behind him. They're like, you know what, God dog it. We told him one, but he didn't even care. And at the last minute, they were rushing him out and telling him that he needs to go. And I just happened to be in the crowd that I got rushed into, and I wasn't even trying to go in that direction. But he sees me getting pushed and shoved, and he stops everybody, looks at me, and he says, do you want an autograph, young lady? I don't know if he remembered going through the line or not, but I was like, yeah. And he took everything I had in my hand at that moment. He signed everything. He took so many pictures with me, and I was like, Ozzie Guillen is the man.
You still have any of that stuff?
Yes, I do. It is in a safe right now. I will not let anybody touch it.
I hear you. Well, I wish you the best this season. You can stay here for a minute. We did an interview with Dayne Myers from Imagine Sports about 10 days ago. Brian and I did, and I think you're in the league too, right? So I need you to go into the room and register, and just wait. Once I get everybody registered, I'll take care of it. But it's a simulation baseball game. It seems like a pretty fascinating concept. You can pretty much draft players from all eras of baseball. I think the one that I have it set on right now is any player between like 1910 and the present. We draft these teams. It'll be like 2 months of a league, and there are 3 simulation games a day. And it looks like we're going to be able to open the league up. So I'm working on a 12-player league right now. We do have this interview with Dayne Myers that we did a couple of days ago, and we'd like to make sure that you guys get a copy of that. So, Brian, if you want to take care of that, we will go to that interview real quick.
Load that up right now. Enjoy, everybody.
Good moment, Baseball Universe, and welcome into another edition of Launch Angle. I'm your host, Jake the Snake Robinson, half man, half podcast machine. I'm coming out of Pawleys Island, South Carolina. I got my man, Brian Belzino, my partner in crime. He's out there in Dewey, Arizona. What's up, B? How are you, brother?
Hey, Jake. How's it going, man? I am living out here in 95-degree weather up 5,000 feet in the mountains of Arizona. COVID is popping really hot right now here in Arizona, so I got beer and food, and I'm good. So.
Well, look, I got just the cure for the COVID blues right here. We're bringing in Dayne Myers. He's calling out of Austin, Texas. He is the principal owner of Imagine Sports. I've been putting it up in our Facebook room for the last couple of weeks. If you've ever wondered, like, how, let's say, a 1979 J.R. Richards would do against, say, 1923 Babe Ruth, well, this guy right here has got just the game for us, and he's here to tell us all about. Mr. Dayne Myers, welcome into Launch Angle. How are you today, sir?
All right, very good. Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to your folks.
Absolutely. Now, I was, basically, I surf on Facebook all the time, and I happened to come across your simulation game. And, we kind of had to talk about it. I didn't want to talk too much about it because it sounded really interesting. I'd rather save it for the air. Now that you're here, why don't you tell me all about how this all came to fruition and exactly what it is?
Well, the long story, if you want that, goes back to a board game in the 1980s called Pursue the Pennant. And they ended up hooking up with a guy named Tom Tippett to write, to create a computer version of it. And that didn't do too well, but eventually Tom went on his own and did it on his own and created this game called Diamond Mine. And that game, Diamond Mine Baseball, he created and turned into a PC game, simulation game and he had a maniacal determination to make it the most realistic baseball simulation software ever created. And he sold it as a PC game, and then eventually a company called Stats wanted to turn it into an online game, and it became Bill James Classic Baseball. And so that's where you could play multiple people rather than just one or two people on a computer. And I became a customer of that game and absolutely loved it, and totally got addicted. And it wasn't even fully online. You had to log in and download stuff. And it was basically, that game got me really hooked. And I later tried to buy the game because I didn't think they were doing enough with it. And they kept saying no, and I kept trying. And then finally one day I said, screw it, I'm going to make my own. And so I went to Tom and said, could I license your software to build an online game? And he said, someone comes to me, a couple people come to me every year and ask for that, but I usually say no because I'm pretty protective of the Diamond Mine game and the brand. He said, but if you present to me a vision that I believe in and it's going to really make something of this. And so I convinced him, I guess, because he gave me the license. We built. So what we built was an online platform to allow multiplayer play using the Diamond Mine game as a simulation engine, and then customers could all come together in leagues and build teams against each other, and then play out seasons. So it's sort of like fantasy baseball, except that rather than being based on the real life game and gathering statistics on real life players, you're building your own team, and then that team is going to play in simulated games against other teams, and your goal is to win as many games as you can over the course of the season and advance to playoffs and hopefully win the World Series. And eventually, Tom actually became, at the time I started working with Tom, he was a consultant to the Red Sox, and they were actually using Diamond Mine to simulate things for decisions, which is why they beat the Orioles now all the time. No. But Tom then got offered a full-time job, became an exec in the front office of the Red Sox, and came to me and said, hey, I'm not going to be able to support you like I was. Do you want to buy it? So I got some investor money together and bought out the Diamond Mine from Tom. He's still to this day a consultant for us and and he's since left the Red Sox. He was there through the Theo Epstein and Ben, what's his name? Charrington era.
Took over.
Yeah, once Dombrowski took over,
Right.
Different environment, so he left
Right.
then, and now he's doing some other stuff on the side. But Tom still helps us out now and then, and so that was about 06, 07, somewhere in that time frame. And we now sell both a PC game version and the online version, and we're soon to release a mobile app version of the game. primary job. It's a nice little small business, but it's kind of like a hobby I turned into a business, and still play in leagues, still absolutely love it. Still have a lot of fun. It's a great community of, everybody's a baseball nut. My wife says, "Oh, you mean you're baseball nerds?" I go, "Yep, we're baseball nerds." And it's really a game of, unlike, like a Y2K Sports or something like that, EA Sports kind of game where it's all, you win by, can you angle your, the screen and get the bat to hit the right thing? That's not what this is about. This is about the numbers and the stats. Can I build a better team than you?
Right.
And we have all of our players have, so we have all the players from the past history of baseball, and even have we even modeled some of the Negro Leaguers, and even some players from the Japanese leagues, so that they get a chance to play.
Awesome.
And you can play.
Because you told me that, which I thought was really cool when you said it to me. You said, yeah, the Negro Leagues guys, they didn't get to play, but in our game, they get to come on in and they get to play Major League Baseball. Which I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is something that's really cool. Like we have Josh Gibson, Satchel Paige.
Right.
And the way we did it, so each player in our game has a very detailed statistical modeling of their actual performance in real life. And then, so for instance, if you pick on your team, you can either pick a career version of players who've already retired, or you can pick a single season version. So you could say, I want Mike Trout 2019.
Right.
And so we've normalized it if he played in a neutral environment and not in necessarily his home park. So, but what we did with guys like Josh Gibson, or Cool Papa Bell was, okay, we said first, we researched them intensely, and then we said, okay, let's figure out who in Major League history was the closest to that player on offense and then defense, and then we made a composite and then refined it from there. So so basically every Negro League players, we started with a composite that's a combination of a couple of two or three other major leaguers, and then we refined it.
Well, that's amazing, and it's just a coincidence that when Jake was talking to me about having hooked up with you and spoken to you, is the first thing out of my mouth when he explained it to me is he said, I said, when I was 14, 13, 12 years old, I played this game called Pursue the Pennant. And I loved that game. That game was amazing. I mean, it was, and I tried to explain it to him, and I was like, look, you just open the box, you flipped it over, you put the stadium inside the box, you had every team, every player, all the way down to lefty-righty matchups, wild plays, swarms of bees taking a guy out in the middle of a game. Everything you could possibly imagine was on that game, and every detail on the hitters was amazing. I mean, I was a seam head as a kid. That's all I paid attention to was baseball and baseball cards, and everything in that game matched. And my buddies and I were always like, I wonder what happened to that game. I'll tell you one legend, though. My buddy still has our game in his garage. I saw it a couple of years ago when I was at a barbecue at his house.
Wow.
Yeah, he still has the board game, and it's got our handwritten box scores in there. And the journalist I always wanted to be, I would write up little, in this game, in this playoff game, this is what happened. Like I was working for the AP of Pursue the Pennant or something. So it's amazing to hear how that game is advanced all the way into this. That's awesome.
Well, he's talking about how he used to write everything up after the game. Your software now takes care of that, right? The software is kind of like a little play-by-play and everything for you.
Awesome.
So how much? Yeah. So how's it done? Is it like people usually buy like a league, or is it you buy into a league? Like, what would be like if we wanted to do like a couple leagues in our room? What are we talking about? How do we go about doing private leagues in our room?
You just go to our site, imaginesports.com, and registration's free, and you can play individual games where you're managing. You pick a team and then you manage against another team. You can do that for free, and you basically are managing a game against another person.
Right.
That we have for free. And then if you want to join a league, you buy into a league, and it's basically depends on there's all sorts of different combinations you can do, but it basically comes out to $10 a month, and you can play out a season in 2 weeks. I think we've got a 2-week version. There's one that goes in 4 weeks, and then there's another that goes in takes 9 weeks plus the playoffs. So
gotcha.
you just pay more if it's a longer season, and because people just pay basically calculated through the month, and
so
people
it
play
would
like
cost $10 a month, and we would have to get the software, or it's
No,
just $10 a month.
Not for the
Gotcha.
online version. You're just paying for the online version. You pay per league that you have a team in. The PC
Mhm.
game, we offer that as well. And you go to diamond-mind.com, and you can buy it. It's basically $49.95 for the basic software, and then you buy seasons that you can upload. Well, you download it from our site, and then you installs in your game, and then you can play that particular season. So those are two different ways to play.
Do you run into, if you're in a random league, and you're playing against somebody, could you run into a point where you're like, okay, both teams have 1995 Barry Bonds or something like that on them?
No, we don't allow, basically, so each league starts with a draft. So somebody's getting, now we do enable, we have what we call standard leagues, which is all the rules are set, and you cannot have, somebody's getting Barry Bonds and somebody's not. So whoever picks them first gets it. And but we have what we call custom leagues, where you can set it up however you want. And if you want to set up to allow multiple versions, if you want to say you can allow someone to have 1995 Barry Bonds, well, there's only going to be one 1995 Barry Bonds, but there could be somebody else with 01 Barry Bonds.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so you can do it that way if you want.
Mm-hmm. So that sounds really cool. I am so into this game, actually.
Yeah.
So you have a couple packages. You have the different, how long it takes for the leagues. You said there's a 1 week plan, 2 week plan, 3 week plan. Is that what you said?
No, it's 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 9 weeks.
Okay. I kind of like the 9 week deal. You know what I mean? Because it's a slow kind of burn, and you get to kind of talk trash against your boys. So I would kind of be interested in something like that, I think. Okay, so
well, the way it works is
go ahead.
The way it works on the 9 weeks is that you build your team, you have a draft. Some people do a live draft, some people do what we call an auto draft. And it's all done in order. So, and then you've got your team, and you get, all the players have a salary. And so like Babe Ruth now is like 31 million a season.
Right.
Barry Bonds like 24 million. And so you have to build whatever your league's salary cap is, you have to build your team within the salary cap.
That sounds really, really interesting.
And
you did say we could get a promo code with that?
You don't even need a promo code. Just have your folks go to maddensports.com and they register. And
maddensports.com?
Yep. Okay. And they'll get a free credit will be dropped into their account within 24 to 48 hours.
Gotcha.
And they can play for free. If they want to get the credit right away, just have them email support and say, "Hey, I was on Jake's show. I heard on Jake's show I get a free credit." And we'll get it. We'll do it manually and put it in there right away.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. Now let me ask you something. You did say that you have a football game coming. You're working on a football game, correct?
We are working on a football game. Yep.
Now that kind of intrigues me too. So I can get like 1956 Johnny Unitas in my backfield here. That's what you're telling me?
That's coming. Yes.
Okay.
Hey, maybe you can get Elway on the Colts.
Exactly. And you can keep Mark Herman.
There you go.
Man, I'm just getting abused by you two tonight, I tell you. Really lippy from the people.
Hey, man, you're coming off the high of interviewing Ken Singleton, which was an amazing interview, by the way. So gotta.
I still got Benny Agbayani to go, man. Massage me a little bit here. Dayne, that sounds really, really awesome, man. It really does. I got to tell you, I think my baseball room is crazy, baseball crazy. I don't know if you've ever been in there, man. You should come in there. Are you in a league?
Me?
Are you in a private league? Yeah, Dayne, are you in a league?
Oh, I'm in several leagues.
I bet you are, right?
Yeah, the customer.
We got to get you in our room. We got to get him in our room to play in the league. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
he's just being modest. He has like 8 world championship trophies that he's not displaying behind him right now.
Yeah, well, the nice thing about what we have now is that with no real baseball, you can still get. We're actually the ad you probably saw on Facebook says, no baseball, no problem. There's always baseball at Imagine Sports, and so you can get we run the simulation 3 times a day. So you'll get results of games and box scores and every stats to look at, everything you would have gotten in real baseball. But you can do it year round, and you don't have. And unfortunately, right now, sadly enough, we don't have real baseball.
Yeah,
but you can still have baseball at Imagine Sports.
Yeah, and I tell you, I'm very intrigued by it, and I gotta think that you're gonna probably get some business out of our room. We're gonna take this interview, and we're gonna post produce it, make it look really good, and we're gonna put it out there for the room. We'll also send you a copy, Mr. Myers.
Awesome.
We should have that within the next couple of days. I'm gonna say 4 or 5 days. We got a couple things in the can right now we're working on, but we'll definitely get this set up. I will send you a copy of this, and I can absolutely guarantee we're gonna have a couple leagues in our room coming your way. I really appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, I'm happy to. We'll put it up on our site too, and send. I'm sure a lot of our customers, would be very interested in your podcast.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Dayne.
Rabid
I
fans,
really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You have a great night. Again, I want to thank you very much for coming by. I'll send you a text later in the week about the package. Okay.
Awesome. Sounds great.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Take care and stay safe.
Stay safe.
And there you have it, folks. A little special interview for our launch angle, me and Brian Belzito, and we're going to cut on out of here and return back to our regularly scheduled program. Thank you. And there you have it, folks. I'm hoping people will come on and get on board with this. It looks really, really exciting. Players from all spans, all eras, Negro Leagues players as well. Like I said, I'm developing the first league, but I like to get a couple leagues in the room going. I can tell you now, what was the cost? I think it was like $24.99 or something. Wasn't it, Brian?
That's the, I believe. Don't quote me on this. I believe that's the total league cost to start up a league.
Right.
So then everybody.
And you get a free credit with that, I believe.
Correct. On your first purchase, it says that you then get a credit. So if you purchase a team, which I believe was $4.99, a standard team, $4.99, and then you get a credit for being another team, and then you can enter a custom league with your buddies, or you can enter a league that's already established and just be added to it, kind of like an ESPN fantasy league where you can just click in there and you're with fans from all across the country. I think it's super interesting personally. I'm looking forward to having like a murderer's row lineup of like Jack Clark, Josh Gibson, and Harold Dayne, or something like that.
Yep.
Like something just off the charts of 60 years spanning my lineup or something like that. I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
you bring Christy
I think
Mathewson.
there's like $100 million. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Oh, it's
I think
cool.
there's like $100 million salary cap or something like that involved.
Yep.
I'd like to get everybody together. The first league that we start is on May. The guy's supposedly giving us free credits. I pretty much bought a team as it is, and just to get the league going. But the first 12 people, that league right there, that league is on the house. But all the leagues after that, like I said, it's like $24.99 or something like that, and it's totally worth it. Check it out. They're going to be sponsoring us for probably until the end of football season. So they're going to be an integral part of this, what we're doing, and on this room. So if you get a chance, I want everybody to look up imaginesports.com and go to Diamond Mind online and get yourself together. There's also some ways you can get like a free credit in there and try it out to see how much you like it. So I would say go to imaginesports.com, Diamond Mind online, get yourself a credit, sign in, and check it out. It looks really, really cool. Now, before we get out of here, I want to make sure that I get my plugs done. My first guy, Mikey Ford, you guys know him quite well. Talented writer. You can find him on Twitter at Clovis Roundup. He's also on the internet at clovisroundup.com. He has an icon in there. You click on that, and all of Mikey's stuff comes up. Mikey is my #1 stat cruncher. He's also a co-administrator for the room, and he is a really, really talented individual. Check him out on Twitter at Clovis Roundup. or go to clovisroundup.com. Also wanted to send a plug out to Talking Baseball with Sal Angelotti. I actually did a show with him last week and showed inside the Facebook room. He does live Facebook radio Wednesday night, 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, public Facebook. He's in our room. If you're interested, I would say check him out, friend him up, see what's going on. He's got a good show, and he talks a lot of baseball. And I think that you Yankee fans especially will like him because it's very New York-centric. And his co-host is a Phillies fan. So there's a lot of Phillies talk, a lot of Yankees talk, a lot of baseball talk. That's Talking Baseball with Sal Angelotti, Wednesday night at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. I've also got Backwards K, where we collect ball players and their stories. And I got a live interview coming up July 29th. That'll be at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, p.m. Eastern Time. And my guest will be Tim Dillard. Now, I know a lot of you are like, who the hell is Tim Dillard? I'm telling you right now, Tim Dillard is one of the funniest dudes in baseball, not named Bob Uecker. If you got time, go on YouTube, check out Tom Dillard, and I promise you, this dude is going to leave you in tears. Well, he's going to do an interview with me on July 29th, 4 o'clock, former Brewers Rangers pitcher. That'll be Tim Dillard, July 29th, 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Brian, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah, let me just throw out a couple out here. I just want to throw out some love to my sister, Kelly, who's doing a lot of the production of the stuff that we do. She's working tirelessly at getting this stuff done. She is learning on the fly and doing an amazing job with that stuff. So when you see the videos linked in or any of the in the middle of an interview or some of the intro stuff that Jake does the intro, that's the montage of pictures. Kelly has added some of the Backwards K graphics and stuff like that. So she's killing it. She's also helping me with what I got going on. I'm just going to throw it out there. I just started a page called Sports Rambling. I added a Z to the end of sports, so it's SPORTZ Rambling. That's just going to be me doing short takes here and there. I'm going to be updating what's going on with my teams, the Broncos, the Jazz, the Giants, the Flyers, my college teams as the seasons go on. I think we're headed into a super interesting era in sports because we're going to have all 4 sports going at the same time at some point this year. That's going to be amazing. It's going to be a lot of content, so I'm going to be putting that out. It's a Facebook page and a YouTube page right now. I'm doing a couple other things on there. I'm starting something called That's What's Up, and that's going to be my show weekly that's going to bring the positivity, positive things teams or athletes are doing. Our media covers too much negativity. We need the positive, like the Ozzie Guillen story that we just heard about how cool he was. A lot of people think Guillen's not the nicest guy because of what he looked like as a manager and some of the stuff he would say. But look at that. We got an awesome story like that. So my first one is Sunday. It's going to be about Buster Posey, his adoption, and his cancer foundation that he has going with his wife. So that's what I got going on. Trying to keep my mind busy in this COVID shutdown. So play ball, baby, 4 days.
And it's funny that you say some guys look mean on TV and then they're not. They're nice. Well, you and I, you know how I've had my phone calls this week with certain players. Some players look like nice guys when they're on the field, and then when you call them, they're fucking dickheads. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of works both ways. But I do understand what you're saying. Because
the guy you had an issue with, I can add to that. I met him in a business setting, and I met him on an airplane going to a trade show in the airport at baggage claim, had great conversations, nicest guy in the world, and he shut you down like Randy Johnson against
dude, I gave him a pitch, and he blasted that shit out on fucking Utah Street. He was like a 12-year vet with my fucking flimsy-ass phone call pitch for sure. Chanel, anything you would like to plug, baby, or you just want to say go Sox?
Go Sox.
All right. Thank you.
Go Giants.
Well, there you go. I want to thank everybody for coming out. It's been another great show of Launch Angle. Like I said, check out all those other shows. Our next Launch Angle is going to actually feature Mike Ford. So Brian and him can have a love fest in here while they talk Giants baseball. I'm Jake Robinson for Brian Belzito, Chanel McCaskill, Dayne Myers, Kelly Belzito back in the production booth. I want to thank all of you. Namaste. Thank you for coming out. God bless and good night.